Do you know how much time you're actually spending inside of your business on money making activities on a daily basis? Crickets. Do I hear crickets? So what you're going to learn is really how to bridge that gap between non-money making activities, running around your business like a headless chicken, to actually having activities mapped out for the day so you can actually make some sales, make some income, get some cash in the bank. I hear this over and over again. There are not enough hours in the day. Have you ever got to a point where the end of the week comes and you still got loads of tasks to do, there's so many things to do, so many emails to return, your desk is piled up with all sorts of activities and tasks, and you don't feel like you've had much progress within that week? Why is it that we as human beings avoid the things that we should be doing that are going to really make the biggest difference in our finances, in our business? I've spoken to thousands of business owners, and one common thing is procrastination. I'm not really making any sales. In fact, I had a client of ours that we're not really made much sales, and I'm like, why not? She goes, well, we haven't really been focused, and we haven't made any sales. Sales are down. We're down on this quarter. And my immediate response was like, well, what have you actually been doing in terms of your sales? Oh, we've had a bit of a break from sales. I said, well, what do you expect? If you've had a break from your sales, how do you expect to make sales when you're not doing the activity that's going to really bring you in the sales? It's very simple, isn't it? But we can get so caught up with all sorts of distractions, like the phone, social media, browsing. Even in work time, I've seen so many people focused on the wrong thing, chitter chatter, right? So we want to prioritize every single day some activities that are going to ensure that you're actually going to make some sales. So I want you to think about today or yesterday. How much of yesterday did you actually dedicate to actually saying, hey, listen, we want to make 5 sales. So what can we do to make 5 sales? So you should have yourself a daily target to make some sales. Whatever industry that you're in, you're going to have your average sales that you make anyway as standard, right? Let's just say that you make normally about 2 to 3 sales every single day consistently. What you really want to be doing is say, well, how can we actually look to double the output on our sales? How would that work? Would that be having more consultations, sending more emails, setting up more meetings, going to more networking events to fill up that pipeline? So if you had to make 3 more sales today in your business, or an extra sale on top of everything that you're doing, what actions would you be taking right now? So for us, I'd be going to our CRM system, right? I'd be looking at all the people that maybe applied to work with us. We're doing that right now. In fact, my BDM is in the other room doing that, right? Contacting the people that didn't buy, contacting the people that you sent a proposal to, contacting someone where there's an outstanding invoice or someone's dropped off or someone made an inquiry. Look at how much revenue is really lost where you haven't really focused on all of the existing leads that you have, all the people in your pipelines, all the people that you've spoken to. A big problem is most people say that my biggest problem in my business is leads. I need more leads. I need more leads. So what happens? They go find a lead source, go invest in lead generation and marketing. They're bringing people into the ecosystem. They don't make sales there, so they disregard those people. So they part that group of people up to one side, and then they go looking for more leads. The thing is, they haven't done a good enough job with the current leads they have. They haven't nurtured them enough. There's not enough contact points. Let's just say that you're selling consulting, right? You're a service-based business. They say it takes around about 8 contact points before someone actually buys from you. Look at yourself. When you actually inquired to work with someone or purchase something, did you purchase on the first instant, or were there a series of calls, emails, meetings where it took to get you over the line? If you've got a team, I want you to look at do you have someone who's dedicated to making sales? Probably not. We have dental clinics. We have people that own law firms. We have people that have a phone system where someone actually rings in an inquiry and that inquiry gets passed on to someone else. But here's the thing. The person who's answering the phone doesn't do a good enough job of actually qualifying the person who's actually ringing, what they're ringing for, what they want, what they're looking for. In fact, I had a funny situation the other day. I found something online that wanted an installation done of some sort, and there was a promotion. They said there's a promotion of 50% off. The promotion ends on Tuesday. This was Saturday. I rang them up on Saturday. They said I can get someone else out to your house to do a survey on what I want to get installed. I said, well, I can't do today. What about tomorrow? I can't do tomorrow. What about Tuesday, next Tuesday? I can't do Tuesday. Then I said, hang on a minute, you just told me that your 50% offer expires on Tuesday. What about Wednesday? We can get someone out Thursday, next week, a week today. But that's no good to me, is it? Because the 50% off that you have, it goes off. I knew what they were doing, right? So I said, well, I can't do that, and so I'm going to lose the 50%. She kept on trying to get me booked into a slot, right, to get me on the diary. She did such a good job of just trying to hook me in. But how persistent are you when someone says no? When someone says no to you, you don't know how to handle the objection. So this is where you do need to have some ability to sell. Now, you got to understand how to actually navigate that conversation when someone says, I'm not interested right now, now's not the right time, I need time to think about it. All of these things contribute towards you making a sale, actually handling people's objections. So that's going to ensure that you're actually making more sales, right? So let's go back to the amount of missed opportunities that you have right now within your business because you haven't focused on that one area. Look at your sales, right? Get yourself a pen and paper out and write down my sales this week. What have you done to bring in more sales this week? People just wait for the sale to come to them. Now, if they don't come to you, you go to them. And this is where people get so uncomfortable because they're not used to prospecting. They've got a poor relationship with sales. They don't want to feel like they're being pushy. They want to be like a salesperson. As a business owner, it's your duty, right, to actually increase the revenue of your business, the cash flow of your business. But you can't be caught up in all sorts of areas inside your business and actually hide from the things that are going to make the biggest difference in your business, in your cash flow. And this is why there are so many business owners out there that struggle with cash flow because they're not making enough sales, and they're not making enough sales because they're not dedicating enough time into the sales cycle, into the sales department. So you got to set yourself a goal every single day. This is how many sales I want to make today. Go back to how you've been running your business and mark yourself at 1 to 10. 10 being the most and 1 being the least. How much attention and effort do you put on a daily basis in your sales department, getting more sales? You might say 1 or 2. What do you actually do from the minute you wake up for work to the minute you go home? How much of that time is actually dedicated to getting in new cash into the business? Yesterday, I was speaking to one of my team and I'm looking at some of the tasks that we're doing. And I said, do we really need to do X, Y, and Z? Do we really need to spend time focused on that? I said to Angela, I said, look, I want you to see where the team is focused their energy on, what they're doing, what they're not, and is this a good use of our time? So I got a message from her this morning and she said, I'm focusing on my tasks today and I'm looking at what are really immediate money generating activities that we can do. What are some of the things that we're doing on a day-to-day basis that don't really move the needle forward in our business? And it'd be surprising how many things that you actually identify that you do that are not that important. How do you prioritize your tasks for the day? Do you have a way to actually prioritize your activities? In fact, write out 10 things that you need to do today around your business. Now then, I want you to get a highlighter or a pen or something and tick next to the ones that are money, income producing activities. You may shock yourself that there's not many things on there that are actually going to bring you in new sales, more money. Let me give you some tips. There must be follow-ups. There must be sales calls, right? There must be fucking doing outreach. There must be connecting with past prospects, people that worked with you in the past. How can we cross-sell? How can we upsell? How can we sell something new to them? Or maybe I need to develop a new product or service that complements what we're doing right now. So go in there and I'm really interested to see how many of those activities are actually going to bring you more money into your bank. So the cash flow issue normally comes from lack of sales. What do lack of sales normally come from? You tell me. Could it be lack of contact points, lack of sales calls, lack of meetings? You'll say, well, there's a lack of clients. Okay, lack of clients. But what are you actually doing to get on more clients? Are you actually picking up the phone and dialing people? Old school, right? I find a lot of people just want business to come to them, which is nothing wrong with that. But if business isn't coming to you, if your pipeline's not full, you need to be going out to your prospects, to your clients over and over again. So you got to start getting into a habit of someone who's a high income producer. Good habits lead to good results. So sales are a part of your habitual behavior. How you behave is going to impact how you make sales. So I want you to really identify some of the leakages that you have in your business right now that are causing you not to get more sales in. When I first started out in the coaching, I remember I wasn't getting any sales. I wasn't making any sales. And I looked at the fact that I wasn't really doing anything to make sales other than posting social media content, right? Without a call to action, without doing anything. And somebody did comment. I didn't really get back to them. I just liked their comment. But someone comments on a post that you have about your business. How can you actually respond to that post where it actually engages the conversation? It could be taking the conversation into the DMs, right? So, hey, listen, I really appreciate your comment about X, Y, and Z. What interested you in that post that I had? What resonated the most from it? I don't know, you just strike up a conversation, right? So lack of sales normally comes down to lack of activity, right? So let's look at the activities that you're making through the 10 steps that I said, your 10 action steps for today. How many of them are actually income producing activities where you're going to actually engage in a conversation that could potentially lead to a sale? So go do that. Set yourself a goal to make maybe 5 more sales in addition to what you're already doing. So these 5 sales would come from you actually making contact and outbound outreach to someone. This could be a phone call, this could be an SMS, could be an email, setting up a meeting, setting up a Zoom, going to speak to somebody, right? So set yourself a target. Now ask yourself, if I made an extra 5 sales this week, how much more revenue, profit, cash flow would I have in my bank? Here's the thing, you do 5, guess what? The next week you do another 5, you do another 5, you do another 5. You see how easily it can compound. So you might even go crush 5 sales today. Do 5 sales this week regardless of like what your mind's telling you to do. Now, your mind is going to trick you, right? Don't listen to your mind, that voice inside your head saying that this person's not interested. Now's not the right time to do it. This, that, and the other. So remember, it's all about getting activities, focusing on money producing, income producing activities. This is something that can really change the game for you. So I hope you find value in it, but not just value. I hope you actually take action and implement what I've just shared with you, right? So until then, I'll see you on the next one.